Transformation is, it's really up to you. Transformation can happen around you and you just let it happen and react to it. But it really has to happen in you to leave an impact. Hello, this is Chris with the Work Life Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. What I would like to discuss today is this topic of transformation, this topic of change. And I think it's very important to make space to think about this, not just for yourself as we emerge from the pandemic, but looking around at what's happening in the world today. I feel like many people resist change. I think it's just kind of in our nature. And in doing so, we are preventing so much opportunity for growth and development, for compassion, for kindness. And I really think it's a threat to the future of not only this planet, but our civilization and society. It's really difficult to see what's happened over the last couple of years because people are really resisting change. They actually want to go back to some version of how things used to be. And I think that resistance is what causes so much stress and anxiety and overwhelm and all these, suffering states. I really do believe that the amount of stress and anxiety you feel is directly related to the way you resist the way the world is. And the interesting notion I've come to learn about change and transformation is it's always happening. There's this concept of impermanence, which I'm really starting to make space for and understand and kind of get excited about now because it's wholly different from how I've lived my life or most of my adult life. I've come to learn that change is what we are here to do. And we actually get to decide what that looks like. Now, you don't have to. If you're like me and you spent most of your life just kind of living on autopilot, each day looked like the day prior, there was not much intention. That doesn't mean I didn't change. That just means the world changed around me and I kind of just changed unintentionally by default, because transformation and change can happen through circumstance or they can happen through decisions with intention. And you can kind of go both ways if you want. Again, I've lived most of my life just letting my environment change me and reacting to that environment. Versus a couple of years ago, I kind of really made a decision that I wanted to drive this change. I wanted to get myself off of autopilot. I really wanted to address my negative self-talk and my thinking patterns and my limiting beliefs, and bring intention into my days with routines and habits and goals and tracking and systems and new learnings and new listenings, and just really controlling my inputs and my outputs. And holy crap, it has just like changed my life in so many positive ways. And I feel really blessed that now I get to, teach others how their own thinking is holding them back. I get to hold others accountable toward, starting their own journey to change and transform into this higher version of themselves where they can really reach their highest potential. Because I think we all have pent up potential. And I feel like this is really important because, again, there's just a lot of resistance in society to the changes that we need to make this world a better place. I want to do this work because I feel like my generation hasn't really done what it's set out to do, which is, save the planet, save society, make things better. I have two young boys and I'm not really satisfied with the world that they're stepping into. And I really believe that with just a few simple new habits and exercises that you can go through, you can really open your mind and change your mindset to be intentional about your growth and your change and your transformation and not live in such a fixed mindset. When you make space for a growth mindset, you open up to all the abundance, the success, the joy, the compassion, and the kindness. And that's the kind of world I want to live in. That's the direction I want the world to be moving as I pass it off to my children. And I don't want to sound all doom and gloom. I think there's a lot of great things happening and there is movement, but I want to facilitate that. I want to speed that up, maybe even, and make it happen because transformation is, it's really up to you. Transformation can happen around you indirectly, and you just let it happen and react to it. But it really has to happen in you to leave an impact. And that's where I really hope to take these learnings and this lesson and this season of the Work Life Mindset podcast. I'm curious if you are ready to take control, to put your hands on the controls, to get off of the autopilot and start not just bringing intention to your actions, but intention to your thoughts. And it all really starts with building awareness, getting clear of what paradigm you're living, what belief you're living, how that's impacting your thoughts, how that thinking is impacting the actions you take, and how those actions, or sometimes inaction, are really impacting the results you get. And then those results are building up or tearing down these beliefs or these paradigms. So I think it's really critical to take a look at that whole cycle. For me, I feel like transforming is a journey of leadership, right? And it all starts with leading yourself. And after you lead yourself, you can lead another, and then you can lead a whole community. And in my story, I feel like I skipped the whole leading myself. From a young age of like 16, I was put in a managerial role and just had to start leading people. And I was really good at it. But I also became a big planner and a stressor. And I just normalized overwhelm and anxiety and stress. I got addicted to stress. And because of that, I would procrastinate on things to keep the stress levels high. I got really familiar with overthinking, overwhelm, and perfectionism to the point that those concepts and behaviors were just normalized in my thinking pattern. And as I approached my midlife, I've realized that that was no longer serving me. That was really actually working against me. And through getting help through coaches and reading and a lot of just self-directed learning, I found this amazing process to bring intention into my days, to get more aware of my thinking patterns through journaling, to be an observer of my thoughts through meditation, and really put intention into how I'm spending my time. And from that, I have just grown into a much more fulfilled human being, and I'm much happier. And I didn't really even change my environment a whole lot. People who know me, might look back 3 or 4 years ago and not a whole lot has changed on the outside. But I'm a whole new person inside. I've taken myself through this transformation, and I continue to, and I will continue to, because I think the journey of growth and development and change is a lifelong journey. And once you kind of step into this opportunity, you realize and get excited and feel that responsibility to just keep going with it so that we can show up as a higher version of ourselves and for others. So, my challenge for everybody is to consider what it would look like if they really embraced change and started, making space for what's happening around them, and then maybe even make a decision to get off of this autopilot and bring some intention into their thinking, into their days. And it's really not hard, you guys. And I'm going to show you exercises and tips. I have so many resources for free out there to guide people through this journey. And what is on the other side is really peace and joy and success. I'm spending most of my days with those positive emotions in a powerful state where I'm taking action every day toward my goals and having peak experiences. Whereas a few years ago, I would spend 6 to 8 hours a day in stress and anxiety and overwhelm. And I think this is really an amazing opportunity as we kind of come out of the pandemic to make these choices, to get clear of how we're spending our time and what we're doing. Because in many ways, the pandemic has been a great pause. It's really forced us to, you know, have time to go internally of ourselves and really understand where the holes are in our lives, be it our relationships, our finances, our careers, our physical health, our spirituality, our recovery or recreation, our contribution. I think those areas that we weren't really showing up have really been highlighted. And, the other part of coming out of this pandemic is realizing a lot of people just kind of paused and stopped really pursuing things or taking bold actions. And if you start now, this is the opportunity to get ahead, and really step into this new higher version of yourself. So where I want to leave everybody, as we move forward here with this season, I want to start today with just a couple of these awareness questions. And I challenge you to sit and ponder these questions. If you're at home, maybe pause and write them down and work through them on your journal. Looking back to the last 3 months, what are the moments you are most proud of? What were those experiences? Were they with specific people? Were they work related, life related? What were you doing, that allowed you, when you reflect back, like I was really proud of that. That was almost like a peak experience for me, really happy and joyful. And when you think about those moments, those 1, 2, or 3 moments, I would challenge you to ask yourself, what qualities were you embodying during those moments, right? So were you being courageous? Were you being vulnerable? Were you being kind? Were you being family oriented? Were you just being compassionate? Were you maybe being aggressive and setting boundaries? What did that look like for you? So what were those couple qualities that allowed for those proud moments? And then finally, the last question here would be, what actions can you take to deepen the embodiment of those qualities so that you can anchor them into your being for this next year? So those qualities you came up with, what can you physically do right now to keep those front of mind, to remind yourself of those, to kind of force yourself to always, or more often than not, be taking action from those qualities, those traits, those values, if you will. So that's what I have for you today. If you're interested in learning more about these mindset tools and tricks, how to really work through a better balance in your work life and your home life, please check us out at worklifemindset.com. We have some free resources up there on the site, as well as some other courses and products for you as well. So have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you.